Good morning. Good morning from South Africa. Welcome everyone to Saturday Morning with me. My name is Reverend Denise Schubert, and I'm streaming to you live from South Africa in the backyard of Bush Baby Haven, where I have been for 3.5 months and have another couple of months before I return to the United States. Feeling frisky, by the way, and alive and well and healed, so that's great. So I appreciate your being here. It's always wonderful to be joined. So I'm not just talking to myself, though I could just do podcasts and I can just talk to myself, but I kind of like it live. So if you're here, say hello so we can create a little bit of community here together. It's a very rather overcast day, so the sun is not brilliantly shining, and the animals are hiding because it's a little bit windy as well. Good morning, Misty. Chippy's here with me. I'm sure you'll see him in a minute, and he's our resident squirrel, eternally in search of peanuts. We're going to talk about attitude today. Well, we're actually the topic today is really more about manifestation or creation or whatever, however you want to talk about making your dreams come true, however you want to talk about how you and I, we actually move in the world in a way that all people want to move in the world, which is successfully. Everyone wants to feel successful and creative and abundant and have friends and have love. Everybody wants that. And not everybody gets that. Not because it's not available, but because there's kind of a metaphysical, spiritual understanding we have to have before we can be very successful at doing that. So I want to talk about that today. So I called it attitude is the key to manifestation, but it may go a little bit deeper than that now that I've had a week to sit on itself. So just welcome everyone. I'm so happy to see you. I'm going to say a word of blessing to get us started and to get us unified. It's still a little early. I'm sure more will join us, but that is absolutely fine. It can come in at any time. So take a morning breath, a nice big Saturday morning breath where you are. It's 3 p.m. in the afternoon where I am. So I'm moving, you're in coffee time. I'm going to move into wine time in a little bit. But for now, just take a morning breath with me as we align ourselves, recognizing that in truth, there's only one of us, that we live in a field of unity and oneness. And so it may look like a Denise and a Misty and a Brian and a Les and a whoever else is here. It may look like that, but it's really the one life, the one power, the one presence in its magnificent individualized expressions of the good. And so it is in this space of a consciously connected community or coming together on purpose for personal and shared reasons. I just bless our time. I allow myself to be used in such a way that whatever you need to hear, I say, whatever I need to speak, I say, and that we leave this time together satisfied and at peace. I'm knowing this in advance, so we just simply allow it to be, and so it is. Amen. So, so this idea of attitude, why attitude is important is because it's your ticket to being in the world with other people, and other people is your ticket to successful manifestation. It doesn't really matter whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, whether you prefer being alone than being in a crowd. No matter what it is you want to accomplish or no matter what your spirit of you wants to accomplish, really, because one of the backdrops is that if you're here, you came here for your own soul's reasons. And those reasons will always involve other people. Always, always, always. That we are not alone. We're not meant to be alone. We're not meant to live alone. And I have found this week, as those of you who've been with me for a while, you know that I took a pretty deep dive into healing some grief, old grief and new grief. And I'm always continuously amazed at how the thicket that is our human existence, like how much junk is in us. left over from our childhood, how much we don't know how to do, how little help we've had from those people who domesticated us. Like, I'm just amazed. I'm just always amazed at how not easy it is to awaken to our spiritual magnificence and how complicated that process can be sometimes. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I had no idea the layers of being that were still there, and there's probably more. So it's really kind of a humbling journey, but glorious nonetheless, and worthwhile nonetheless. So so attitude, so our ability to live happy, free, full lives is largely dependent on our attitudes, and our attitudes are totally dependent on our beliefs about the world and about ourselves. I want to revisit for a moment this idea of context and content, which is kind of the core of my own work in the world through a life of spiritual power. So a content is kind of the big idea. Context is the big idea, and content flows from context. And content cannot be anything different. So the context is 100% the deciding factor on content. So when we're moving through life, we need to get clear about what our contexts are, our operating contexts, because we cannot move outside of those boundaries. I don't want this to sound too complicated because it's really incredibly simple. And that is, so if you were raised and domesticated in such a way that lack and limitation were the norm, which was very common, by the way, for most of the people who were raised during the time of the Depression, even for a generation or two after that, this idea that there wasn't enough lived in us, which would be an operating idea or a context. If that is your operating idea, there's no way you'll really have enough ever. There'll always be either literally not enough, or there'll be the experience of not enough, no matter how much you have. So it's very, very important to do context work if you haven't already, just to look and see. And we all do have them because they're part of the unconscious subconscious, and we didn't put them there. And in some ways, we can't even take them out, like weeding our garden. But to become aware of them is to just become aware of how your life is, and where have your struggles been, where have your successes been. So I want to go back. I want to start at a really big context, which is the quote I put in this week's blog, which is from Einstein, to which he said, "The most important decision a human being will ever make is to decide if the world is friendly or hostile." Why that's important, he's actually presenting a contextual idea here, which is, if you think the world is hostile, you are going to live your life in a certain way, in relationship to other people, in a relationship to the government, in relationship to your bosses at work, in relationship to the people around you. And if you believe all of that is hostile towards you, that's you can see, right? Can't you just feel it's going to be one kind of experience? If you believe that the universe is friendly, if you decide that the world is friendly, then you will begin to operate inside of a friendly universe. You will find friendship, you will find help, you will find support, you will find colleagues, you will find a tribe. So this is, so you just need to look for yourself whether or not you think, more often than not, that the world is safe or unsafe. Is the world friendly or unfriendly? Do you feel like you're supported or unsupported? Please be clear that these ideas are not good or bad or right or wrong. They just are. So you don't judge yourself and you don't try to change the world. Remember that as spiritual entities, everything we need is inside us. And we are always attracting to us what our insides are. So so if you feel that the universe is unfriendly, it's going to create an unfriendly universe. But the universe is neutral. So the universe isn't friendly or not friendly. The universe is whatever it is to you or to me, to each individual. Now that could make you want to kind of throw up a little bit because it puts an entire burden on you, right? The entire burden of your life and how your life is lives on each individual. So if you've been working from the idea that the universe is not friendly, the universe is lacking, the universe is uh, hard, the universe is suffering, change your mind. Change your thinking, change your life, change your mind, change your outcome, change your context, change your content. So in some ways, it's very, very easy. Now, I just shared this really not that easy because we have so much junk inside of us that needs to get released and acknowledged but change is really a change of mind, not a fix. We don't have to fix ourselves. We truly just need to become awakened, increasingly awakened every day that we're alive. Listen, you do a little bit of work today that adds to tomorrow. Do a little bit work tomorrow, and eventually your consciousness will awaken to the spiritual, the truth of your spiritual identity. Now, the second thing besides context and content is to understand spiritual laws and principles in the same way that you understand physical laws and principles. So nobody argues with gravity. I mean, gravity doesn't care if you believe in it. It doesn't care if you're in agreement with it. It doesn't care if you're white or black. It doesn't care if you're straight or gay. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor. Gravity is a law, and it works 100% of the time. And you and I know that, which is why we are in alignment with gravity. We're in harmony with gravity. We don't live out of accord with gravity. Do you understand? Nobody walks off a building. Why? Because we believe. We are true believers in the physical laws and principles. Spiritual laws and principles work exactly the same way. They work 100% of the time for everybody and anybody. It doesn't matter whether you're black and white. It doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter whether you're gay or straight. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. The laws that we're going to talk about today operate for everyone alike. If you can really get that, then you will know the keys to living a successful, prosperous, and free life. And this isn't lightweight in any way. It's not woo-woo in any way. We have a deep-seated belief in suffering in the human species, on the 8 billion people on the planet. There's a deep belief in hardship and suffering. There's a deep belief in war. There's a deep belief in the necessity of someone has to win and someone has to lose. None of that is true. It's just the content of the context that we as individuals and we collectively hold. So when we talk about spiritual principles right now, today, just hold it as a possibility that maybe they're real. And that maybe if we can do minor adjustments in our own thinking and in our own attitude and our own behaviors, then maybe we can begin to have different outcomes. Because there is no mandate by a reluctant entity for you to have a life you love. So, and you were not born a black sheep. You were not born with a cloud over your head. You were not born with being tested. You were not born. Now, it is true that there is some karmic wheel that we live in. I want to say kind of a bold thing for a minute, but let me stay on this. One of the laws you'll see is that we must reap what we sow. So if you, through lifetimes and through this lifetime, there's always a piper to be paid for what we do and don't do. It's just a law of cause and effect. But the good news, the bold part is this, that spirit trumps the ego. Spirit trumps karma. So you can shortcut, you can short circuit the karmic wheel by stepping fully into your spiritual identity. That's just what I want to say about that. That's a very big topic, perhaps for a book or a longer session than this. But let's look. So let's look at, remember, we're talking about attitude, and attitude is how you show up in life. Attitude is how you approach people, how you approach your work, how you approach yourself. Those are attitudes. So I'm suggesting in a palatable way, hopefully, that if you can change your attitude, you can change the results you produce in the world. And I'm talking about this really because I'm just always astounded at how easily I manifest. And everyone know, if you know me, you know, I just, it's pretty effortless, but I think it's because I just believe in these and I live in accord and I do all my inner work, you know. So if I get angry, my anger never gets dumped on you. It always happens in here because I know that I'm off base somehow. I'm out of alignment somehow. So one of the laws, remember, these laws are like gravity. One of the laws is the law of reciprocity, which means you get as you give. You give as you get. And when I talked about this, I'm going to pull it up for myself. You won't see it. When I talked about this in the blog this week, I talked about it in terms of, sorry, I'm looking. Okay, a little lost my own notes here. The world is your friend, right? So we just really talked about that. We just talked about Einstein's quote. So the world is your friend. Well, that we'll talk about within the context of the law of reciprocity. If you believe it to be friendly, it'll be friendly. If you believe it to be hostile, it will be hostile. If you believe the universe to be hostile, you will project hostility, and what you will give back is hostility. If you view the world as unfriendly, you will treat the people as in a fearful way, and you will be treated back in a fearful way. So I've often said, you know, that especially if you're on a spiritual path and you're looking to step into spiritual truth and live from that place, if you insult people or offend people or flip off people or curse people, if you make children cry, all of those things are going to be returned to you because we live in a reciprocal universe. Does that make sense? Yes, of course it makes sense. The second one, which is really important, is the law of mental equivalence. I put this one under, do you believe yourself worthy of receiving? Do you believe that you deserve to have money? Do you believe that you deserve to have love? Do you believe that you deserve to have friendship and success? The law of mental equivalence says you cannot have what you cannot perceive yourself having. Now, by the way, I did not make any of these up. These are from, you know, Dr. Ernest Holmes, Mary Morrissey, Michael Beckwith, Jesus, all of the spiritual teachers. I'm truly just talking about them in a way that can make them easily accessible. So the law of mental equivalence says that if you think you only deserve this much love, then you can only have this much love. You cannot have this much love if you can only hold this much love. Now, that doesn't mean somebody won't try to offer you this much love, but you won't be able to receive it. You won't see it. You won't trust it. You won't allow it. You won't make it welcomed. So the law of mental equivalence simply says that if you want to, it's why we do classes, by the way. So we study and we do prosperity classes and we do relationship classes, not so that we can not so that we can make something happen that's not already happening, but so that we can stretch the envelope so that instead of feeling like we can deserve this much, we can deserve this much. And then we deserve this much. Then we deserve this much. So how much success you experience, the kind of relationships you have, the kind of work you do, the kind of compensation you receive is all tied to your mental equivalence, not to anything factual in the world. The world is neutral. The world will be to you what you are to the world. I know, it's tough, right? It's like so tough to really get that and to live as if that were true. But if you can live as if that were true, then you stop being a victim of anything. Then all the power is in your hands. The final one, well, there's not the final one. The third one is, we've already talked about a little bit about the law of sowing and reaping. So whatever is going on today is the end result of seeds you've planted prior to today. And now remember, in the science of the mind, there's a very good analogy of how the creative process works in the world. Seed, soil, plant. So the seeds you plant get planted into the fertile soil of the universe, the process that molds molecules into things and experiences and stuff, and left undisturbed by your consciousness, they will manifest in form. So they will become real in your experience. So whatever your experience is today, whatever you have today, just acknowledge it for what it is, the end result of the seeds you've planted prior to today. Now, keep in mind, we're not alone, that we are co-creating with 8 billion other people, some more intensely than others. So if you have a culture, that culture is co-creating reality as well. So if you live in a place, if you live in a country where life is hard and there's been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years, well, they're not thousands, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of hardship, there is a collective consciousness called life is hard. To break out of that would take a lot of work for an individual because you're being worked on in consciousness by the collective as well as by the individual. This is true also in family systems, school systems, and city systems. So we're not being alone, which is why when we say something like, you have to stand guard at the portal of your own consciousness, you have to be careful what you let in and what you let out. But once you see and really experience that these spiritual laws and principles are as real as gravity, you will become very vigilant in what you think and what other people think and how you let what they think affect you. So starting today, with this particular law, the law of sowing and reaping, it's very good news because you just start planting new seeds. And I say that like it's easy. I don't know that I think it's particularly easy, but you must do it if you want a different result. If a year from now you want something different than you have today, you must change the way that you think. You must change the way that you act. Because if you don't change the way that you think and you don't change the way that you act, you will have 1 year from now exactly what you have today. Why? Because the universe is neutral and you are molding it in every moment that you are alive with your thoughts, with your attitudes, and with your actions. So the law of reciprocity, the law of mental equivalence, and the law of sowing and reaping. Now, if you are watching this and you want, you want notes, go to my blog, go to my website, deniseschubert.com, and print the blog from this week, because this was a topic of the blog. I've come to the conclusion that there's one law that is more important than all the rest of the laws. In fact, the rest of them are content. Like, there is one overarching idea out of which everything else comes, and that is law of love. And so love really is the love of self, the love of God, and the love of others. And you can't really draw a distinction between them. If you want to, for this particular broadcast, if God is a triggering idea, you can do the law of love and God are the same word, the same meaning, exactly the same meaning. God is love, love is God. The quantum field is the same. There is some power and some presence, some creative process out of which all things come, and its fabric, its nature is one of love. So in life, we're going to have a hard time manifesting if you are not in right relationship with life. So if you were raised in such a way that religion harmed you or left a bitter taste in your mouth, or if you think that that we're kind of a chaotic, non-meaningful universe, you might have a hard time with all of this. Personally, I think it was not Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, who said any problem anyone has over 30 is a spiritual problem. That something in us has to get in alignment with love. Now, and if you do that, then you will love yourself unconditionally. You will love other people unconditionally, which is how we're really loved by the universe. But that's a big idea and a big thought and a big acceptance for many, many people. But if you can do it, if you can line those three things up, love of God, love of self, love of people, you will find that you are then in harmony with the unfolding of your own life, the unfolding of your own passions and preferences and purposes. I'm not a big, Bible student, and I'm not very religious actually at all, but I do love a message that Jesus gave us, and I want to share it with you, maybe within a new context, so you can embrace it. And that is this one. He says, "You shall love the Lord with all your heart, with all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as you love yourself." Now, Lord, the word Lord in the New Thought metaphysical definitions means the law. So he's saying you shall love the law, you shall love how it works, you shall embrace it, you shall accept it with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your mind. And I would say that just simply means begin to not doubt. Let go of doubt. You don't doubt gravity, don't doubt the law of love. You don't doubt thermodynamics, do not doubt the law of reciprocity. Embrace it as truth. Embrace it as the way things work around here. It's like a rule book for how to live. And if we can get on board with this rule book, there would be so much peace and so much happiness and so much love in life. He says that's number one. Get that first, and then love everybody. And then just see in everyone that there is this love of law, this fabric of being that runs through all people, all trees, all elephants, all animals. Because when you do that, then the universe is a friendly place to live. And people will be rushing to make your dreams come true. Yes? Let me go back to comment from I haven't been there. I want to show you Can I show you before I pray us out or do whatever I'm going to do? I want to show you what a band of banded mongoose looks like. So hold on, I'm just going to show you. I'm walking, don't get dizzy. Okay, this is a band. I'm not using the right word. Anyway, these are banded mongoose, and they're here for a little bit of an evening appetizer. Hi guys, I'll be with you in a minute. Sorry. I just a little bit of Africa is good for you, right? Just a little bit of Africa. All right. So attitude is everything. So embrace. It's just if all of this is just way too much, that's okay. Just practice when you go out into the world or when you're by yourself too, because listen, most of the crankiness we have is in our own minds. We don't need to go anywhere to be cranky or fearful or angry or resentful or yes. We need to get over all of that. There's a law of love that we are so beloved by the world we live in. And if you believe that and begin projecting that, you're going to see it everywhere. You're going to see it everywhere. You're going to see holy help from people, from places, from situations. Yeah, me too, Jan. I've been really, it's just a good one. So, all right. So I'm going to pray us out. This week, I'll be streaming and blogging this week from Bush Baby here. I leave on Saturday for a place called Shinzella, which is a bush camp that Lisa and Kim and I went to last September. So I'm going to go back there for 4 nights. I'm very excited to be on game drives again. I'm doing well. My plan, I'm still returning to the country on September 18th. I fly home. I'll be back in Florida on September 19th. Very ready to come home. And I don't know what the future holds, but I'm very, very excited to be coming back. And I'm very excited for the time I have left here as well. All right. So if you want to sign up for my blog and haven't already, no, you can go to Rev D. Schubert or DeniseSchubert.com. If you want to donate to my ministry, which I would love for you to do for many reasons, you can go there or just do DeniseSchubert.com/donations. I happily accept them since you are my work these days. And if you need anything else, you can just email me at revdschubert@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. So thank you again for a wonderful Saturday morning. Let's turn within. Oh, and take another breath as I send you off into your glorious Saturday, wherever you may be. Simply pause to remember what's most important, which is love is real. That there is a power, there is a presence, there is an organizing principle, there is a something that its nature is love, and we are made by that. So our nature is love. Anything to the contrary is an illusion, it's a mistake. Our identity is a spiritual identity. Our identity is an identity of unconditional love. And so I know that we live in a lawful universe where our words, our attitudes, our beliefs are creative. And so I speak this word for and about myself and each one within the sound of my voice on this day, claiming and affirming that we step into that identity ever more fully, that we understand its importance, we understand its truth, we understand that we are the masters of our fate, the stewards of our own ship, and that through our planting new seeds tomorrow, that we actually create a future that is different, that is new, every day, a brand new baby day. And so I'm grateful for this world being neutral. I'm grateful for my role in the creative process. And I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to co-create a world that works for everyone together, one person at a time. And so for this and so much more, I am grateful, releasing my word into the hands of the divine, knowing that even now the manifestation is occurring. And so we give thanks for this, we let it be, and so it is. Amen, amen. All right, beloveds, I will see you next week, same time. Have a wonderful week.